What's up, guys? So, in this video I'm going to be reviewing all the episodes of Bojack Horseman Season 6 Part 1. So, when this season came out, I was actually going out of town for the weekend, and so I wasn't able to record my face, but I really didn't want to, wait to watch it, because I like to give my fresh opinion on it right after I watch the episode, and I didn't want to wait to watch it. So, throughout the whole video, you're seeing image stills, and then, like a robot voice, because I just typed in a thing and then plugged it into the editor. So, I don't know, I think it's the same thing, I think it's fine. So, please enjoy this review-ish, kind of. It's not a review-ish, it's episode by episode, whatever. My thoughts on Bojack Horseman, Season 6.
Episode 1. This was definitely interesting watching and learning a bit more history about Bojack and his drinking. And it was interesting learning more about how he feels really guilty about Sarah Lynn. I wonder if the whole season will take place in rehab though. Episode 2. Princess Caroline. It's one of my least favorite characters. It's not that I hate her, it's just she's kind of one of the most boring characters to me. She works best when she's working off other characters, so when I realized that this was going to be an episode centered around her, I got kind of nervous. But honestly, it wasn't that bad of an episode. Then we really got to see more of what Mr. Peanut Butter was thinking. Episode 3. Diane is a weird character for me because normally I don't like the feminist characters and shows, but she is just a character I can tolerate. She's perfectly fine and don't dislike her or anything, and this was an interesting episode seeing her and her new boyfriend guy or whatever. So yeah, overall it was a perfectly fine episode. Episode 4. Best episode by far. It was super interesting seeing everybody run around the house trying to hide from Mr. Peanut Butter and Pickles. And I kind of liked the ending. It was almost a subversion on the cliche that they would have broke up. Bojack doesn't seem happy though, and I'm hoping we'll learn more about that soon. Episode 5. It was nice to see another Bojack-centered episode. The little stuff with all the other characters was nice to see too. But I feel like there's a bigger reason Bojack doesn't want to leave rehab. Episode 6. This episode we learned a lot more about how Bojack thinks of other people, especially horses, for some reason. And watching Todd and his father was also kind of interesting, I guess. And then the whole intern thing was happening, but I don't really get the point of that. Is there a metaphor I'm missing here? Episode 7, really liked this one. It seems like everyone's getting their stuff together. Bojack is apparently gonna be a school professor, which should be cool. Right now I really just want to see what comes next. Episode 8, this episode was all over the place. It didn't follow any of the main characters, it just followed some old and side characters. The reporters are getting real close to finding out everything about Bojack's past. It seems like this episode was to set up part 2 where Bojack is gonna be happy and everyone's gonna find out about the awful things he did in the past. Pretty good episode though.
Well, overall view of the season. This season was definitely, a lot of people thought that this season was going to be the darkest season of Bojack Horseman, but honestly, I don't know if you could get any darker. Bojack Horseman is one of those series that, everything that's happened in the past kind of gets muffled. You can't really remember exactly what happened. And that's not a bad thing, it's just bad thing after bad thing after bad thing throughout the show to all these characters and stuff, and now you finally start to see them get better. Not everybody's a bad person in the show, but everybody doesn't have the best life, and you see everyone's life slowly getting better and better and better, and it's good. I like that. I like that there's still sucky moments, but they realize that the sucky moments aren't so sucky, stuff like that. So and then obviously in this last episode they're setting up a bunch of stuff for part 2 that's going to be super interesting. So episode 1, I don't know what the episode's called, but it was very interestingly set up. That's a made-up word. I liked how it was set up, how the show went by explaining the new life that he's had, how it also went in depth with the other characters, like his students. How it's basically just like a mini season within the episode. It was basically just reintroducing you, well, not reintroducing, but introducing this new world that he's built up, rather than so they could get right into this new plot, like the end little bit with Charlotte, I think her name is, and the phone call. So, oh man, I'm just really excited. Oh, I'm excited to see what happens next. Like, this episode is just basically your typical recap episode, so there's not much to say about it. So let's just go on to the next episode. Yeah, oh my god, that's bright. Hey, so I'm really not feeling good right now. Like, I honestly feel like I'm about to throw up. But this episode was really good. Because I don't know why, but Diane is just the perfect character that I think I wouldn't like in any other show. But how she's done in this show is just so perfect. I don't know how to describe it at all. And the little bits of the case are getting more interesting. This episode is just a very interesting look. Something very, real, I guess. I don't know, I'm yawning. But I really liked what they did and how they showed that she doesn't know, but she does know. I don't know. Very good episode. Let's just move on. Okay, stuff's getting real. So, this episode was just so interesting about how it was a peanut butter episode. Mr. Peanut Butter episode, how they dove into how, even though he was technically the B plot, I think, it's just so interesting to see him, and the final minutes of him were just so, I keep saying interesting a lot, but it was fun to watch them plan out how they're gonna do this, and basically see how Bojack was going back to how he was, and each person just kept walking out on him, and the little bit they had with Princess Carolyn was so interesting. I don't know. I just really just want to see where this ends up, where it goes, is what I want to see. So let's just watch the next episode. Bojack Horseman is such an interesting show about how it's managed to keep going on without a clear end game. And each time you think that the rock bottom and then him getting up is going to be the end, it's not. But it makes sense. And this doesn't feel like a rock bottom, but this also doesn't feel like an ending, but at the same time it does. It's so clever with how it writes and how it plans stuff out. It feels like the first interview is the end game that we've all been waiting for, but at the same time it opened up so much more stuff. And the same thing with this interview. This interview felt like the rock bottom, but we don't know the aftermath of it, if that makes sense. We need to know what's going to happen next. I don't know how they're going to end this show. I honestly have no idea what they're going to do or how they're going to do it. I don't know how you could end a show like this. I could never figure out how to do that. That's why I think this show is so clever. I know I didn't really talk about the episode, but that's what I feel about this episode. It opened my mind to how clever and smart this show is. Okay, so that ending scene when he read it and then walked in, literally the second he opened the door, I said, out loud, I went, no. Oh my god, no, please don't, please. This, I'm running out of things to say for this show, because one, I want to stop recording and just keep on watching, and two, because I just be repeating myself, oh my gosh, everything's so clever, everything's so smart. Todd is I'm kind of losing interest. I totally forgot Todd had a whole thing with his family, but I'm interested in what they're doing with him. Same thing, this show is such a roller coaster of emotions. I don't know how to feel about Bojack's story, but then when it gets to Diane's story with Guy's son, I don't know his name, but I was smiling then. I was happy for that scene, and God, I love the show. I don't want it to end. I've lost track of what episode I'm on, but it's obvious we're reaching some sort of end game here. We're nearing the end. Diane was kind of pushed back. Literally, I can't remember what it is, but Diane's story is making me happy. I'm interested in Todd's story, and the stuff between Judah and Princess Caroline is so wonderful. Literally, when I see these characters, I think, these are characters I should not like. But then, as I'm watching them, I'm enjoying myself. It's a good show with everyone else. But then, when it comes to Bojack, I feel bad. I
I don't want to see something bad happen. And then something bad happened in this episode, but it was not treated like a bad thing, which makes it almost even worse. So it's like, I want the best for all the characters, every single one of them. And I'm seeing good things from all these characters, except for the main one, Bojack. I don't know what kind of, if they're going to even give him a happy ending. I think I don't know. I don't know what I want to see from Bojack. That's all I got to say about this episode. That episode was so intense. This is how they end it. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea what to say. Like, I want to start the episode and see you in a bit.
So I don't know how I ended the other videos, whether or not I talked about the last episode and then talked about the season, so let's just do this all here. The last episode was the most satisfying and least satisfying finale of a show I probably have ever seen. And I don't mean some parts were better than others, but then other parts weren't. No, I mean like as a whole. How they sent the show, like I said, I had no idea how do you end this show. And the previous episode, I really thought they were going to kill off Bojack and then had the last episode be everyone else's lives. Because this show is just as much about Diane, just as much about Princess Caroline, just as much about Todd as it is Bojack. But, so it never makes you feel like their characters' lives are revolving around Bojack. And they kind of played with that a bit this season and previous seasons. But it's like, because the show, and I could totally see someone not liking the show because they say it may feel repetitive. Like, Bojack is a bad person, and he tries to be better, then something bad happens, and then it all goes to shit. And then he tries to be better, and then something bad happens, and then it all goes. But this season felt different. It felt like he actually was being that good person. Like, it was actually happening. All season, he never did anything bad. Like, little stuff would happen, but no big bender would happen or something like that. But then something happened, and I think the reason why this time it was so, every time it happens, it got more and more severe. Like, at first, it was just kind of a normal thing for him to get drunk. But then, as time went on, he'd do worse and worse stuff, and it just kind of built up into the finale, into the, oh my god, this is a bad guy, he wants to change. So I think each big mistake he made built on his character. It didn't just keep repeating the cycle. And this time, it felt different. This time, they even acknowledged it. They're like, oh, I'm going to wake up. Like in the previous episode, he's like, I'm going to wake up. Then he didn't, and he got so close to death. I don't know if it was kind of cheap for them to... Like, I don't know what people... I would have been okay if he died. Like, that would have been an expected ending. If he survived, that would have also been a suspected ending. This show, I wish I could talk about it more, but now that it's over, Bojack Horseman is one of the shows that only gets talked about when, like, the week new episode there, which sucks. This show is probably one of the most influential, important shows of all time. It's probably my favorite television show, honestly. It's made me... No other show has made me feel feelings like Bojack Horseman has. It's like, I'm connected to the characters. I know I just said like more of that. And I feel for them. I want to see them succeed. How they ended it, the final episode, with... I like how they had Bojack talk to everybody, like Peanut Butter, Mr. Peanut Butter, how then he didn't talk to Todd, how he then talked to Princess Caroline, and then Diane, and the last one was Diane, because Diane was always like the second main character, we all know that. But it was just a really nice way to go out. I know I didn't really give in-depth opinions about the episodes, mainly because I was just so excited and I wanted to go on to the next one, which shows how good this show is. Literally, the best show I've ever seen. My favorite television show is Bojack Horseman, and I hate to see it leave, but I'm happy it went off on a high note. Or a low note. I don't know. The show is almost kind of, the ending is almost up in the air, like, you don't know what's going to happen next. Like, the show almost feels like they had a plan in mind, but at the same time they're just going as they went. Because that's how life is, and they just built off that. Seriously, this show has some of the smartest writing of all time. Anyways, thank you guys for watching this episode by episode. I guess this is a series now. I don't know. I do it with 13. I'll do episode by episodes of shows that I haven't seen because I like to give my real opinion. I can't rewatch a show because I already know what happens in that episode. So like with Clone Wars, I think I'm going to do episode by episode. Who knows? Thank you guys for watching. It sucks to see Bojack Horseman leave. Oh, and I guess that the Vault Boy from the Fallout games is like the mascot of this. I don't know. I put him in the 13 Reasons Why one, and then I put him in the Bojack Horseman one. I was like, you know what? We got a theme here. Let's keep going. So, I guess that's the thing. Thank you guys for watching. And video over, I guess. I don't know. I hate to see Bojack Horseman leave. Why's he gotta leave?